Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Mr. Chinedeluwa, and in this video I am going to be teaching you how to start a grasscutter farm. Many a times I get calls from interested or intending grasscutter farmers, and they ask me the question, how do I start a grasscutter farm? In this particular video I am going to be showing you how you can start a grasscutter farm. My name is Chinedeluwa once again for those who do not know me. And before we proceed, I would like you to do one thing for me. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed, so that YouTube will always notify you when we post new educating and informative videos like this. Okay? You can also like the video, also share this video to your friends. It also helps the video and the channel to do well. Okay? Now, before we proceed, okay, it's important for you to understand that there are 3 steps to starting a grasscutter farming business. Step 1 is to learn how to breed and handle grasscutters. Okay? Step 2 is to build an appropriate cage or housing for your grasscutters. Step 3 is to source and stock your grasscutters. Okay? The 3 steps to starting a grasscutter farm. You want to start a grasscutter farm now, there are only 3 steps you need to follow. The first is that you need to learn how to breed and handle these animals. It doesn't make sense that you want to breed and handle these animals and you don't know how to breed and handle them. You want to farm them, you don't know how to breed and handle them. It doesn't make sense. You don't know what they eat. You don't know whether they are nocturnal or semi-nocturnal animals. You don't know how many children they birth. You need to have an idea of these things. Once you have an idea of these things, you build a cage for them. Once their cage is ready, you source for the breeding stock and you stock the farm. Now, let's take these 3 steps one after the other, okay? Now, step 1, learn how to breed and handle grasscutters. It is important for you to learn how to breed and handle grasscutters if you want to start a grasscutter farm. Very important. It is non-negotiable. You can learn by coming online and watching YouTube videos like this. A lot of people who started their grasscutter farms that I know, they started it by simply watching YouTube videos. Okay? Another easy way is by going to Google. Go to Google and search grasscutter farming. There are a plethora of content on grasscutter farming. Articles, journals, a lot of materials have been written on grasscutter farming, and they abound there online. Go and learn how grasscutters live their lives. Go and learn the types of food that grasscutters eat. Go and learn how to protect grasscutters from the elements. It is very important. Grasscutter does not like cold. Cold is a major challenge for grasscutters. So therefore, you need to protect them from from cold. Food that grasscutters eat are around you. You need to know them for you to be able to source them. They eat grasses majorly. Elephant grasses, guinea grasses, spear grass, Indian goose grass, water grass. After all, their name is grasscutter. So 80% to 85% of their food is made up of grasses. Okay, you need to learn about these grasses to be able to identify them when you go to source them. Grasscutters consume corn. Grasscutters consume cassava tubers. And cassava has a poisonous type. But if you do not know this thing, you won't be able to identify which one is the poisonous cassava, the more poisonous one. That is why it is important for you to learn how to breed and handle them before you venture into it. Are we clear? Now, after you have learned how to breed and handle these animals, the next thing you ought to do is to build an appropriate cage for these animals. One of the major challenges I have observed from new farmers is that they do not get their housing right. Housing is a major challenge when it comes to grasscutter farming. People tend to see grasscutters like a pet. Grasscutters are not pets, so grasscutters are agricultural pests. It is only when you have been able to bond with them to a particular point that they will simply, they will rescind their wild nature a little bit. But they are not pets. It is only by bonding with them that you can be able to get them to toe that pet line. You bond with them, you try to touch them, you try to feed them with your hand. You use corn, give them corn, and they will eat the corn from your hand. These are ways to bond with them. You must build an appropriate housing for these animals. How do you build an appropriate housing for these grass cutters? There are three ways, three types of housing that you can use to house grass cutters. You can house them using iron cages. You can house them using wooden cages. You can also house them using concrete cages. If you're a beginner and you want to start a grass cutter farm, say between 1 and 5 colonies, I'll advise you to use the iron cage or the wooden cage. Okay? Then subsequently, you can now, expand. The wooden cage is cheap. It doesn't cost much, unlike the iron cage, relatively. Okay? Look for a carpenter. Get samples of wooden cages. In my book, Grasscutter Farming Secrets, I showed types of cages and the measurement that you can use to make them. You need to get the book. It's a very important book, very comprehensive with regards to grasscutter farming. Okay, get good woods. Get a good carpenter. Show him or her the designs of the wooden cages you want to make, and they'll make it for you. You can make 3 decks. You can make 4 decks. You can make 2 decks. You can make 1 deck, depending on the number of grass cutters you are starting with. The next one is iron cage. Simply you get iron, that's angle bars for the frame, and then use wire mesh to cover it. Wire mesh is costlier than wooden cages, but they are durable too. Now, the last but not the least is the concrete cages. Concrete wall cage or concrete floor cage. This type of cage is for those who who intend to start in a mega way. It is suggested for people who have a large scale grasscutter farming business in their mind. Concrete cages are cheaper than the rest, okay, but they are not meant for beginners, except you want to just begin and maybe subsequently you start thinking of expansion. And then if you want to start a large commercial grasscutter farm, the type of cage you should use to house your grass cutters is the concrete wall or concrete floor cage. You either build it on the wall, that is why we call it the concrete wall cage, or you build it on the floor, which is called the concrete floor cage. Okay, the measurement that you can use to build this is 5 feet by 2 feet, 5 feet length, 2 feet width, 2 feet height. Okay, this is an ideal template that you can use depending on the space you have in your place, depending on the space you have available to you. Okay, that is how you build an appropriate cage for your grass cutters. If you fail to build an appropriate cage for your grass cutters, you will suffer the consequences. Let me give you an example. When I started my grass cutter farm on the 20th of March 2012, the cage I used, the floor was made of wood. So what happened was that constantly the animals will chew the wood. They will chew one part of the wood and escape from there. I'll catch them and replace them, I'll be patching there. Sometimes every 2 weeks I will change the floor, They will pee on it, the pee will soak the whole place, the wood will be messy, stuff like that. Until I came in contact with a man from Ghana, Foxy Graphy, yeah. He was the one that showed me the design of putting wire mesh as the floor. And then under the floor, you will have a space where you can put a collection pan, so that once the animals pass their droppings, it will land straight. It won't remain there. It will pass straight and fall onto the pan. In the morning, you draw it out, and it will be so easy to clean. That was my saving grace. Okay, so you shouldn't. If you get it wrong, these are the things you will go through. So you have to get it right from the beginning. Okay, so once you have built an appropriate housing for your grass cutters, you have learned how to breed and handle grass cutters. You have learned how to build an appropriate house for them, and you have built it. The last but not the least step is sourcing and stocking your foundation stocks. There are 2 species of grass cutters. We have the Trionomis swinderianus and we have the Trionomis gregorianus. Trionomis swinderianus is known as the greater king rat. Trionomis gregorianus is known as the lesser king rat. Trionomis swinderianus is the most reared species in sub-Saharan Africa. It grows larger than the Gregorianus, and it litters more than the Gregorianus. Okay? So when you're stocking your farm, you stock your farm with the Troionomus swinderianus. How do you know that these animals are healthy? Okay? When you go to source for your animals, ensure that the animal you are sourcing, you are taking, if you're there physically to collect it, ensure that they have shiny fur. Ensure that they are fast. You know, the moment you blow air into their cage, they sprint. These are signs that this animal is healthy. Okay? Ensure that the male is bigger than the female, because the male has to be bigger than the females to be able to mate them. He's either 1 month bigger or 500 grams bigger. He's either 1 month older or 500 grams bigger than him. Okay? So source stocks from verified farmers. It's important that you source your breeding stocks from verified farmers who have a history of the animals that they are selling to you. Some people would rather source from the wild, you know, get hunters to help them hunt down live grasscutters, and then it's okay too if they adapt, but it is advised. I will personally advise you to look for farmers who have a pedigree in the industry and purchase from them. People like us, okay? Purchase from verified farmers. It's very, very important. Okay, that is the 3 steps you need to start a grasscutter farm. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are 3 questions you will need to answer before you start a farm. I suggest you do that. Question 1 is, why are you starting a grasscutter farm? Why? Why not a poultry farm? Why not catfish? Why not snail farming? Why did you choose grasscutter? You should be able to sit down and plan out and have a plan of action why you chose this thing and what you intend to achieve with it. Okay? The next question is, who are you starting this grasscutter farm to serve? Are you starting this grasscutter farm to sell to consumers or to sell to breeders? You should answer this question. Who are you going to serve with your industry? Who are you going to sell this your breeding stocks, your table size? Who are you going to sell them to? Answer that question. Third, where can you find them? If you have an answer to these 3 questions, my brother, you are almost there, because it will be very easy for you to operate in the market. You won't be distracted with whatever happens, because you know who your audience is and why you are in business for them. Now, how much do you need to start your grasscutter farm? You don't need much. It depends on your budget. A colony of grasscutter, the winners sell for 135,000, adults 195,000 naira. You multiply that by how many colonies you want to start with, and that informs you how much you need. You're also going to spend money on building cages. You're also going to spend money on acquiring equipment like machete, like brooms. You also have to spend money on staffs if you intend to employ one. Okay? So use this to form an idea of how much you are going to invest in your grasscutter farming business. I hope this particular video has been educative. If it has been educative, if you have any questions, please type it down in the comment section. I will reply you. If you have any questions, type it down in the comment section. I'll reply you. Please like this video, share this video. If you haven't subscribed, please click the subscribe button, so as YouTube will notify you whenever I post more educative and informative videos like this. Thank you very much for joining me, and see you in the next video. Cheers.